Okay, so I've got my plate of food pretty much the way that I want it to be. So now we are going to work on the napkin, the fork, the knife, and the spoon, and a cup. So let's do the napkin first. Now you can do this in a lot of different ways, but what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to fold my paper to make it look more like a real napkin. So I've just got a regular white piece of paper. It's 9 by 12. And what I'm going to do is, you see how it is horizontal in front of me? I'm gonna take this corner and I'm gonna bring it down and line it up like that with the bottom, and then press. And now it kind of looks like a triangle with a rectangle on the side, right? So now I'm gonna cut this rectangle off. And now it just looks like a folded triangle, right? So now I'm gonna fold it one more time. The fold is where my fingers are. I'm gonna fold it over, just like that. And now I've got the perfect size for my napkin, and it looks like it's really a folded napkin, doesn't it? Okay, so I'm gonna glue my napkin down. I'm gonna add some glue onto the back and put it on. Make sure it's lined up with my plate, right? Okay, and then it's there's kind of a flap here, so I'm gonna add just a little bit of glue right here and press that down so that I know it will stay and look more like a folded napkin, right? Okay, we're gonna make our fork, our knife, and our spoon next. Are you ready? Okay, I got a piece of another piece of white paper. Again, it's a 9 by 12 piece. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna draw, and I want them to be almost as tall as my paper. You can see my paper is horizontally in front of me, landscape style. I'm gonna get my pencil. So if you wanna draw along with me to make them, you can, to see what they look like. Okay, so the fork is gonna go on top of the napkin, right? So I'm just gonna make a long curved line like that. Then I'm just gonna add the top of the fork onto there. These are called the prongs of the fork. You can add however many you wanna add. Okay, so I've got a fork. And now let's do, I think the knife comes next on my placemat. So let's do the knife. So for the knife, let's see. I'm gonna do just a long straight line, about the same size as my fork. And then here at the top, I'm gonna curve, come out, make kind of a diagonal line, and then come back in a little bit and continue down. Okay, there's my knife. And then my spoon, I'm gonna start with a circle on the top. Well, actually, an oval. And then add the handle. Just like that. Is it okay if yours look different than mine? Of course it is. Okay, now what I did to make them look more like real silverware is I used my colored pencils to add a little bit of color. So I actually used a gray colored pencil, and I just lightly colored in all three things. So I'm gonna do that right now. Of course, if you don't have a gray colored pencil, can you think of something else that you could use? You could use a marker, you could use a crayon, so it doesn't have to be a colored pencil. That's just what I chose to use, right? So I'm gonna add a little bit of a shadow just to make these look a little bit more three-dimensional. So I'm just choosing a different color, and I'm gonna go along one side of my fork. pressing down a little bit. And then I'm gonna go on the inside. Well, it's the left side of that fork tong and the left side of this fork tong. Okay, and then I'm gonna go on the left side of my knife. It just makes it look a little bit more 3D. Like there's something that's making a shadow there. And my spoon. Okay, so now I'm ready to cut these out. So I'm gonna use my scissors and do that right now. All right, let's glue these on. So my fork is going to go on my napkin right here. My knife is gonna go right next to the plate. And then last comes my spoon. Did you already know that? When I was little, one of my chores was to set the table. So I used to do that every night before dinner. Set the table. Okay, so here's goes my fork. Put you right there. My knife. You notice I'm just putting one line of glue because I don't want to use too much glue, right? And then it will kind of smush out everywhere and make a big mess. One line of glue. Okay, so can you tell what we're missing? We're missing our glass, our drink, aren't we? Yeah, so I'm gonna show you how I made my drink. So I started with a piece of white paper, and basically I just rolled this up to make a cylinder, right? Because this is like the shape of a can. So this is a 9x12 piece of paper. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to make myself, I'm gonna draw a little line. And that's gonna be like the line where I want my liquid to be. So down here, I'm gonna make some water. I think I'm just gonna use a light blue for this. So I'm just gonna color from here down with my light blue. Okay, so now we're gonna roll this up into a cylinder. So when you want your drawing of your liquid to be on the outside, right? So make sure you're rolling it on the outside. Kind of just experiment, see what size you want it to be. I think that's about what I want for my cup to be. So I know I need to put a little bit of glue right here on this edge. When you're putting glue on an edge, it's a good idea to make sure you have enough room for about a finger right there so that your glue doesn't smush out. Okay, so now I'm gonna carefully roll it back up. All right, and I can make sure that my edges, when I turn it, that my edges are lined up. Now I'm actually gonna just put it down on the table, stick my hands inside, and I'm going to count to maybe 30 just to make sure it's really stuck. All right, I counted to 30. It is pretty well stuck on there. Now, one thing I'm gonna do before I attach it is I'm actually going to, this is just an extra piece of white paper that I had, and I'm going to put this onto the white paper and trace with my pencil around, and that's gonna give me about the size that this is going to be. I'm hoping that I can use this as the very bottom of my glass so that when you look down into my glass, you can see this circle. So I'm gonna color this circle so that it looks like the same as the outside, so that it looks like water. All right, so the last step is we are going to attach your cup of whatever liquid you decided onto the placemat, and we're gonna put it right above the spoon and the knife, so it's gonna go right here. But I need to give it some little legs that I can put glue on, because right now it's not going to be easy to glue it, right? So to make some little legs, you're just going to cut up a little bit. I'm just making some little cuts in the bottom, all the way around. You want the cuts to be about the same size, but you don't have to measure or anything. Okay, I'm back to the beginning. So now I'm gonna take these little cuts and I'm just gonna fold them inside my cup. So I'm gonna carefully go all the way around, folding these down. And again, they should be about the same. Okay, so now look at all those little feet. So now I'm just gonna take my glue and add a dot to each of these little feet. So I go around. Okay, I'm gonna carefully put it down right where I want it to go. Now I'm actually gonna take my pencil and just press down all the way around on the inside. And I'm just gonna hold this here and remember how we were counting to 30 before? So I just wanna make sure it's really stuck. Okay. And now, if you remember I made this extra little piece, I can put this down all the way to the bottom to make it look more like a real cup. So I'm gonna add some glue. I'm gonna put this down. Let's see how far I can go. And then just use my pencil to poke it down where it needs to go. Let me tip it so that you can see. So look at that, it looks like there's liquid down there. Isn't that cool? Now I made water, didn't I? But you could make whatever you normally drink. Maybe you like to drink lemonade. Maybe you like to drink root beer. I don't know, it's up to you, right? All right, so I have my finished placemat. So cool, right? Remember that you can add your own flair to this, right? I don't want you to copy me. I want you to add your own things. So think about how you could make it unique to you. All right, artists, I hope you had a great time making your placemat, and I can't wait to see them. I will see you later. Bye-bye.